Effective leadership has great positive benefits for everyone involved. The opposite, unfortunately, has an equally negative effect. If a leader is not only ineffective but also toxic, then everyone in the group suffers, as does the organization as a whole. Toxic leadership creates a culture of distrust, conflict, anxiety, and fear. Good communication and good interpersonal skills are part of what makes a great leader. So, if your group is headed by someone who is dismissive to input from the team or even ridicules it, this is the first sign of trouble, thus stunting the options available. Previous points have shown various traits that can happen when the wrong person is put in charge or put in power. One of the worst things, though, is when the power goes to their head. Leaders like this will often intimidate those below them and seek to exert their dominance over others. It can seem like they're imitating a despotic ruler. They feel threatened and react very poorly whenever you question or challenge them. Even the smallest comment can be found offensive because they demand compliance for their members, not acceptance. And they certainly don't see members as their equals. They can make you needy, clingy, and dependent, to the point where others won't want to be around you anymore. And being around them feels more like a burden or a chore, rather than enjoyable company. You unload all your troubles on them every time you see each other.
Do you sleepwalk or find yourself having done things while you are asleep? Do you eat while you're sleepwalking? You might go to the kitchen and eat whatever's available or prepare a whole meal without remembering. You also run the risk of consuming toxic substances and getting sick. There have even been reported cases of people driving long distances. Most don't remember it happening because you go back home and park your car in the same place. To screaming and can range from speaking nonsense to complex conversations. Do you act out your dreams? It can be terrifying, especially if the dream is acted out in a violent manner. You might scream, kick, jump, even run. And this is unsafe for you because you may injure yourself or others. The cause remains unclear, but it is believed to be produced by an imbalance of brain chemicals. Here are 6 signs you may have melancholic MDD. Number 1, loss of pleasure. 2, psychomotor changes. 3, impaired cognitive function. 4, depressed mood characterized by despair and emptiness. 5, feelings of hopelessness or guilt. Number 6, waking up early in the morning. The slowness of movement is a common feature in melancholic MDD. One study even compared it to Parkinson's and found that complex movement was a challenge in both disorders. Melancholic MDD can also represent negative symptoms similar to schizophrenia. These are a group of symptoms marked by the absence of normal levels of activity, which can include loss of facial expression, psychomotor impairment, and attentional disturbances. Do you believe in trial and error? Are you easily disheartened by defeat at just the first attempt? Highly creative people are some of the most persistent and determined types of people. Why? Because they resist giving up after each failure, knowing that each failure leads to more improvement each time. Perseverance is one of their most valuable skills. They don't take the hits personally, and they keep it moving. They regard hard work and dedication as the key to success. Research has shown that when we focus on the outside world, our imagination network is typically suppressed.
Boy, if you don't get
Intuition is actually the basis of creativity. It's following your heart, not your brain. Intuition helps build that foundation of trust in yourself and your inner feelings. Here are 9 things that social anxiety makes us do. Hey Psych2Goers, and welcome back to another video. Before we start, we would like to give you a big thanks for all the support that you've given us. Psych2Go's mission is to make psychology and mental health more accessible to everyone. Now, let's begin. It can be terrifying for those with social anxiety to arrive late or walk into the wrong room. Even though it's become a bit of a joke among millennials and Gen Zers who prefer to text, avoiding phone calls is actually a fairly common behavior for people with social anxiety. Have you ever pretended to be in the middle of a call just to avoid talking to someone? Or worn headphones to discourage others from approaching you? This pressure to perform feels constantly heavy and can lead to full-blown panic attacks when in social or performance-based situations. If you enjoyed watching this video, give us a thumbs up and share it with someone who might find it helpful as well. How do you know that you're actually getting better? Every day may seem so similar to you that you can't really tell the difference. Don't worry. We here at Psych2Go have prepared a list of 7 surprising signs that your mental health is getting better. Depression is one of the most common mental illnesses in the world. It can make you lose all of your energy and motivation to do anything, and it can negatively impact your self-image, as well as your relationships with others. This is why it's so important to remember that you're not alone and that there is help and support for you if you need it. So, a sign that you're getting better is when you find yourself more tolerant and patient than before. It's not a change that happens overnight, but a product of you slowly coming back to yourself. Often when you're depressed, you feel tired and fatigued. This lack of energy and motivation to do anything may cause many of your plans to take a back seat. Therefore, if you find yourself ticking tasks off your to-do list more and more lately, then it may be a sign that you're improving and getting better. In turn, these negative thoughts keep you in a depressed cycle. But as you begin to reconnect and to have compassion towards yourself, your self-worth will increase, which will allow you to see yourself in a better light. Though it may not feel like it at the moment, depression does not last forever. If you found this video helpful, be sure to like and share this video with those who might benefit from it. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button and notification bell icon to get notified whenever Psych2Go posts a new video. The references and studies used in this video.
Let's take a look at 5 things you should know about depression. It's important to know that depression is a real disorder. It often affects every area of someone's life and is much more than simply feeling sad.
Depression? Isn't that just a fancy word for feeling bummed out? Dwight, you ignorant slut!
Depression often feel that they're struggling in virtually every area of their life. It often affects every aspect of a person's life. For some, they may develop unhealthy coping strategies, like addictions. Are all of your fingers the same size? Doesn't everyone have a different set of fingerprints? Then why should the same treatment work for all?
Here are 6 reasons why you haven't found the one yet. Hey Psych2Goers, and welcome back to our channel. Thank you so much for all the love you've given us. Your ongoing support helps us make psychology and mental health more accessible to everyone. Now let's continue. Modern media really pushes the idea of finding that perfect person. And while indulging in the rom-com fantasy can be fun and exciting, being in a relationship is not a requirement for happiness. And there's no shame in stopping a relationship there. Relationships are a personal choice, and the one you hold with yourself is the most important one of all. Always opens, but often we look so long at the closed door that we do not see the one which has been opened for us. Hard to date someone new when you're still thinking about your past relationships. It's natural to compare a new relationship to your previous one, but you might compromise your current relationship in doing so. This prevents you from getting to know your new partner and might be holding you back from them.
Here are the signs and causes of abandonment issues. Before we proceed, please remember this video is for informational purposes only and is not for self-diagnosis. Do you push people away, withdraw, and avoid trusting or opening up to people? The particular types of defense mechanisms a person with abandonment issues develops can be different. These are categorized as different attachment styles. Adults with abandonment issues will display similar unhealthy patterns in their relationships of choosing partners who are abusive, controlling, needy, emotionally unstable, or unavailable, patterns of unhealthy communication, consistent feedback from others that you are too needy, and a pattern of losing yourself in relationships are all experiences due to fear of abandonment. Hey Psych2Goers, welcome back to another video. Do you feel like the world is going a million miles an hour with distractions and confusion everywhere? Do you find it hard to figure out what to prioritize in order to live a happy and healthy life? You can learn a lot from other people's experience and possibly save yourself the trouble of figuring it out the hard way. Curious to know what to prioritize above all else? Here are 8 things only smart people pay attention to. Knowing your thought patterns can also help you notice when you're thinking to one side. For example, irrational thinking in the form of black and white reasoning, seeing the world in terms of good and bad instead of a mixture of both, can lead to rash decisions and sudden mood swings. If you can recognize your irrational thinking, you can take steps to avoid it or change your thought patterns. How you think is such a big part of who you are, so it's only natural to pay attention to it. Knowing this, smart people tend to focus on building the best community of friends, family, and more for their well-being. After all, no one can do everything on their own. What are some things you fill your room with? Perhaps you've got some hand-me-down clothes that you don't even like lying around, or old magazines stacked to one corner. Smart people know this, so they make sure to surround themselves with objects such as books, clothes, and furniture that they like. that genuinely reflect who they are and who they want to be. Here are some of the most uncomfortable but important truths we all need to accept in life. Number 1, only you can change yourself. Yes, really. Knowing when to stop, change directions, and leave behind a negative situation is going to save you a lot of heartaches as you grow older. So think long and hard about which battles are worth fighting and give up anything else that no longer serves you. Don't quit because it's hard. Quit because it's making you unhappy. Here's an oldie but a goldie. Yes, it may sound cliched to some of you Psych2Goers. However, there's a lot of truth to be found in this saying. The only way to get past your problems is to get through them. And at the end of the day, an uncomfortable truth is much better than a comfortable lie. Don't you think?
Nice.
So here are 6 signs that they might be. Number 1, their personalities suddenly change. They may show their pain in other forms like insomnia or destructive behaviors. These destructive behaviors are loud cries for help. Gently advising them to seek professional help can be a good course of action to take in this case. Have you ever had a friend who seemed to become a lot less receptive towards things they once enjoyed? A sudden change in personality doesn't just come out of the blue, anchoring them to the present and fostering meaningful relationships. Hey Psych2Goers, thanks so much for your support. Let's get into it. Do you know how common mental abuse is? 80% of the population has experienced some form of abusive relationship and behavior. But despite how frequent it happens, emotional abuse is still hard to spot. This is because unlike physical abuse, mental abuse doesn't leave any visible scars. Number 1, constantly take fault. What is retroactive jealousy? Have you ever been jealous of your partner's ex or past relationships? People may be jealous for many reasons, but what happens when you're jealous of your partner's previous relationships and this snowballs from a minor annoyance to something you can't stop thinking about?
No!
Retroactive jealousy is when this information bothers you. You may find yourself thinking about their past partners often and go to lengths, including spying on them as they go about their day. Intense fear of an object or event, overthinking small details and constantly doubting yourself and your beliefs, intrusive thoughts, partaking in compulsive behaviors that alleviate stress related to your obsession, for example, hand washing if afraid of germs, extreme discomfort if you don't perform a compulsive task. Not only do these behaviors affect you and take away from living a normal life, but they can be intensely harmful to your relationship. What have you learned? Let us know in the comments.